Hello and a very warm welcome to this special edition of Channels Beam. I'm Sunis Nathaniel. It's our Xmas edition and I'm really excited, basking in the spirit of the season, not losing sight of the reason why we are celebrating, sharing, buying, giving and selling, all with the intention of leaving a lasting feeling of joy upon the world. It is in the light of these thoughts that today we will be deliberating on how youth consumer power, smartphone penetration will shape e-commerce and fintech in 2024. You see, about 50% of Nigeria's population is connected to the internet, most of them accessing the internet via mobile phones, thus increasing the e-commerce potential in the country, with spending estimated to be at about $12 billion. And it is projected to reach about $75 billion in revenue per annum by 2025. How truly can we usher in a golden dawn with youth-driven e-commerce and fintech operations? What are the implications? And how do we surmount the challenges we might encounter along the way? These are some of the questions we hope to answer today on the show. But before we proceed, first, let's look at the top trends for the week and then our spotlights. Be right back. Don't go away.
We begin this week's top trends with the UEFA Champions League draw. Football lovers in Nigeria and across the world watched with so much anticipation to see who their favorite teams would be paired against, with many saying that the knockout rounds of UCL will be epic. Staying with football but away from the UCL, Lionel Messi, who was in trend as fans all over the globe. Staying with football but away from the UCL, Lionel Messi was in the trends as fans all over the world reminisced the World Cup victory that has made the Argentine immortal. Pope Francis got in the mix for this week's trends after giving his approval for same-sex blessings, leaving many Nigerians to scream that the development portends an encore of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Take him. Look at this one. Since November.
You can see behind me everywhere, the whole of this section of the market. Every shop you see here is a factory. Every single shop you see is a factory. And then everybody is manufacturing products. Number one, there are two sets of illegality going on here. Some set of people are manufacturing products of other people in large quantity. So much so that the other people might not even know the difference between their product and the one that is manufactured here. Manufacturing under a very bad environment, poor GMP, using banned chemicals, colorings, with the raw materials we saw the other time. All they do is just get a rubber, a mixer. So then use just this normal sieve to just sieve and put into bottles for people to drink. But my fear is that this is Utah period. A lot of people have bought drinks in the house. You don't even know where the source of the drinks you have bought. We've had a high level of increase in renal failure, kidney failure, and all of that. And some of them are major result of this poisonous things that people are taking in.
Many thanks for staying with us. It's now time to delve into the subject of the day. Joining us to look at the potentials within the e-commerce and fintech space in 2024 is Mr. Nadaya Enegesi, the co-founder and CEO of Eden Life. He's also the co-founder of the Global Job Placement Network for software developers known as Andela. He joins us today via Zoom. Mr. Enegesi, it's a pleasure having you with us today.
It's a pleasure having you. Soonest. Thank you. Compliments of the season.
Compliments of the season.
I actually, you came in with a very festive energy, so that's great. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, this is the S-Mass for crying out loud. This is the real deal day. Okay, let's get straight to it.
Yeah,
let's get straight to it. So, looking at the market, I mean, let's go. Looking at the market, I was going to ask, how has the Nigerian, youth consumer power evolved? How has it evolved over the years, especially in the context of, the e-commerce and fintech?
Yeah, actually, it's very, very interesting to observe. So, e-commerce, fintech, technology is eating everything, right? And of course, the youth are behind this wave of change because they're usually the earliest adopters to these things. And Nigeria is playing a very leading role in the context of Africa. So there was a survey that was done recently about 6 African countries, and they found out that actually 58% of the online shoppers, around 58% of the online shoppers in Africa are Nigerian, and there are about 70 million plus of these online shoppers. And what is really exciting about this shift for me is not just that there's a lot of us who are using these technologies and like changing the way we live, but it's more about the potential, because I believe that it's still very, very early. I mean, right now, we say that over half of Nigeria's population is under the age of 17. So the people who are engaging in e-commerce and using all the fintechs, that number is most likely going to, double, triple, quadruple over the next 10, 15 years. So I'm really excited about that.
Well, I think I share your excitement because I think I fall within that space too. It's beautiful to see how the youth are evolving and taking over things and making things really happen in the country. I mean, that said, I would definitely have to ask you now that in your opinion, what do you think are the extra factors, what are the extra factors that are making this smartphone penetration, get in top gear?
I think it's an interesting confluence of forces. One of them is just the accessibility to the technology. Like, if you remember when GSM first came out, how much a cell phone was back then. And then in the last decade, you had companies like Transsion come into the market and start mass producing smartphones like Techno, Infinix, all of that stuff. Now it became very, very easy for people to access, or it became much easier for people to access smartphone technology. I think that's one. Another one that is another force that's driving this change is the accessibility of data and broadband internet.
All right.
So right now, I'm made to understand that we have about, say, 70% of 3G coverage around the country, and still about just under 20% for 4G. But that, once again, that's an indicator that the future is going to be very huge, right, concerning internet services. And then, of course, there's the proliferation of social media. So, I mean, think about one person that does not use WhatsApp. It's probably going to be very difficult, right? So, like, we spend a lot of our time on these social media platforms, and they also shape the way we interact with the internet. I think part of that is also driving the pull into the smart world and the world of connectivity. Yeah.
All right, that's a very good way to really give us insight as to what is really happening in that space. So we have looked at what the forces that are driving this change. The question then becomes, how are fintech and e-commerce firms like the kind of operations you do and you have been involved in a long time? How are you guys adapting to this move and this change? I mean, how are you making it work?
Yeah, it's so if the technology is always about doing more with less, accomplishing more with less. It's about convenience. It's about efficiency. And these technologies have made it possible for us to do very interesting things. So if you look at fintech, for example, when it comes to money, there are a few things we want to do with our money. We want to earn money, we want to save our money, we want to grow our money, and we want to like transact with our money. We want to buy stuff, we want to send stuff, right? And like with technology, fintech is making all of that very, very easy. It's making it easy for people to, from anywhere, they can save their money, they can move their money around, they can buy stuff online, they can save it, they can invest it, they can do all of that stuff. It's really easy. Similar for us at Eden Life. Eden Life, my company, we are a one-stop shop for everything. You can buy food there, you can buy cosmetics, you can buy medicine, you can buy groceries, you can book a cleaning service, you can book a dry cleaning service. You'll be able to do a lot more of that stuff in the future. All we are doing is making it easier for people to live the lives that they've always wanted to live, and by giving them more time and more energy. And these are the things that we are accomplishing as an industry, just giving people more efficiency, giving people more time, giving people more productivity.
All right, more productivity. So in looking at the whole productive, excellence in trying to achieve that, what are the challenges, and even within that space of the challenges, what are the opportunities? I mean, looking at the market right now, what are the challenges really, the core challenges, and what are the opportunities that are also opening up that can be tapped into?
Wonderful. There are definitely challenges and opportunities. I think it's super early, and one of the challenges with building early is a lot of the times the infrastructure is not yet where it needs to be to support. For example, let's use internet services and reliability. Where we are is 10 times better than when we were 10 years ago, but it's still not there. There are places that do not have connectivity. There's still even if it's more accessible to get like smartphones, let's use logistics for example. The kind of smartphone that one will need to operate real-time logistics for all the riders on that network to be using that level of technology is not yet accessible, and it's not affordable for everything to be that seamless. So infrastructure is one of the barriers that we have. But then again, like if you look at the opportunity, is just in the sheer amount of possibilities that exist, just because this is greenfield for us mostly in this part of the world. So we have an opportunity to shape how we want to live. We have an opportunity to pull a multitude of people away from inefficient ways of doing things and into more efficient and connected ways of doing things.
Nice. I like that you have said it's not cast in stone. We have the chance now to, build it into what will suit us in the best way. Okay, looking at payments, you mentioned earlier on about payments, and transactions in that sense. Can we expect like a shift in preferences of payments, especially with these young people, and how it might impact the fintech landscapes? Are we expecting those kind of little changes, shifts, preferences? Are we expecting those things to really shape the market?
Definitely. I think a lot more people are using digital wallets and online payments now. One of the things that's going to happen is we will start to need our physical wallets less and less. We've already started seeing a significant shift from using cash to being cashless. Almost anybody now has a mobile money account. You can like easily send them money. So I think all of these things are going to shift the way we transact, because if you think about it, at the end of the day, money is just a tool, right?
Yeah.
Money in itself is a form of like ancient technology. It is just a tool to get something done. And as far as tools exist, human beings are going to come up with more and more, come up with faster ways to use these tools to get what we need. So I think it's going to be the same for money. There's also a shift towards like cardless transactions, where you don't even really need a card to transact anymore.
Yeah.
I'm predicting now that we'll probably see a wave of QR payments, where to pay for something, if you walk into a store, instead of using the POS, you just bring out your phone camera, you scan the QR code, and you pay, and you go. And it's going to be much faster. It's going to be cheaper, because banks and fintechs don't have to print and deliver cards anymore to anybody. Everybody just uses their phone, because we're all on our phones anyways. So it's going to be really exciting, I think. It's going to make it very easy for people to transact. It's going to increase financial inclusion as well.
Okay, I would have to stop you there because there's so much we have to unpack. I will come back to you very shortly. Yes, we'll be taking a quick break, and when we return, we'll be looking at databases. Databases, the shifts in payment preferences further, and then inclusivity within the fintech space. We'll be back. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. You're watching Channels Beam coming to you from our studio in Abuja. Nadaya Enegisi is our guest, and we're still looking at how youth consumer power, smartphone penetration will shape e-commerce and fintech in 2024. But now let me ask you, the inclusivity is one of the key issues, that we have in this e-commerce and fintech space. How are we going to work on this, and how do we cater to the needs of the diverse people who we are going to be attending to? How are we going to, the firms and the entrepreneurs, how are they likely to address this issue so that these needs are met?
Awesome. One of the big issues with financial inclusivity has been, there are different layers to the problem, right? And there are lower hanging fruits. One of the lowest hanging fruits is just accessibility. How easy is it for someone to get an account? Mobile money has now made that very easy. Like once you have a phone number, you can have an account. And I think that widens the amount of people that we can bring in to include them in national finance. Another thing is accessibility in terms of like language. So predominantly platforms these days are in English, right? But we're starting to see more and more companies build and localize for different parts of the country, and like allowing support for multiple languages. That is also going to create more access. And then you can keep going, like a bunch of different reasons you can keep going. But I think like the ultimate thing that is going to really stretch us to like 100% inclusiveness is literacy. Like we cannot skip that part. People have to understand, people have to know, people have to be productive, because once you get everybody educated and productive, then people are earning money, right? And if you're earning money, you definitely need a way to bank that money and to like transact with that money. So that would be the ultimate thing that we can do as a country to address financial inclusion.
Okay, so I like the fact that you have brought literacy into it, and then in speaking about the future in that sense, in speaking about the future, we must ask ourselves, where does this, are we saying that we're going into real core languages, Yoruba, Hausa? Are you saying there's going to be that real drive so that the person who is even in the hinterland can really be part of this whole transaction? Is that what we're saying
100%.
Right now?
100%. So I'll tell you, earlier this year, I was in China, and I went to Alibaba's office. Like, Alibaba, the e-commerce platform. Some of us buy from AliExpress here in Nigeria. And do you know how many deliveries Alibaba does in a day? They do over 300 million deliveries in a day. And is an insane amount of deliveries. And the reason why they're able to do that many is because, first of all, they have all the urban areas connected. They're doing deliveries within the urban areas. Like the equivalent for us would be like Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano, Abuja, and so on and so forth, right? But on top of that, they have connected their retail. They have connected their rural areas to the urban areas too. So the person who is running a grocery store in the urban area, he's getting his oranges from a farmer in the rural area, through the same technology, through the same network. So everyone is sort of connected. And guess what they use to pay? They use Alipay, which is their own fintech for payments. And of course, like the application that the people in the rural areas are using is most tailored to the local language of that area and the local dialect of that area. So definitely, I think that one of the ways that we can include is by building for these different local hubs and areas, whether it's localizing by languages or localizing by approach or localizing by whatever special rules govern those areas. It's very important for us to do that, to bring everything together.
All right, that's a very insightful way to give us a deep way of how we can, explore this back home in Nigeria. But I would really like you to
Yeah.
go further, using that experience in China, using the experiences you've had all over the world. What are those lessons we can learn now, and what are the things we need to start implementing if the future will be solidified? What are those things we need to implement now?
Hmm. Well, I mean, we've already talked about some of the basics like infrastructure, making sure that devices and network are easily accessible. We have talked about increasing literacy so more people can participate in commerce. Some of the things that we can now start to do. I think we have done really well with creating unified identification, like national ID.
Yeah.
That's a really good one because it allows you to verify people's identities across different platforms. Makes regulation also easier as well. I think we have seen challenges with regulation in the past where regulation has not been kind to e-commerce and fintech. Like they banned bike deliveries in Lagos, for example. I mean, bike transport in Lagos, for example. Um, but I think like more constructive regulation, like more collaboration between the government and tech companies to create regulation that would set the right standards and platform for new businesses to be created and to thrive. I think that's also what we need to do. If we nail that, we can actually enable a whole generation of companies and business and prosperity, right? So those are some of the things that we can do.
All right. Finally, before I let you go, I wanted to speak to databases and how and what we can do with databases as regards this growth we are looking at. Because I feel looking at the inclusivity, for instance, the divide between women and men, ladies, boys, and girls who have real beautiful mobile phones, those things are always playing a factor in these purchases and all that. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, for sure. Data is you heard this saying that like data is the new oil, right? And the reason why is because the way technology is moving right now, the most desirable experience is one that is personalized. We all see ourselves as unique individuals with unique interests and unique habits and unique desires. And where data plays a huge role is helping companies or platforms to understand people and to create tailored experiences for them. So when you open your Instagram, for example, you will see things that are tailored to your interest. The same way, when you open your Eden Life app, you should see products and you should see stores that are closely related to your habits or your needs. So for me, that's the big role that data plays at first. It's like that whole personalization. Then you can take it a step further with technologies like AI as well, because with AI you can make recommendations, you can make suggestions, you can help people even like automate needs that they have, right? So it's going to be a really exciting decade, I think, for technology influencing the way that we live.
All right. Thank you very much. It's going to be a really exciting decade. Nadaya Negisi, thank you for being a great guest on this Xmas episode of our show. I think it was really, really beautiful having you. It's good that we had you on Christmas. It's a very good Christmas delivery.
Merry Christmas, Soonest.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Friends, that's our time. Thank you very much for staying tuned. As always, we'll be leaving you with the 5 most viewed videos on our YouTube. I'm Sunis Nathaniel. Till we meet again next week, which happens to be next year, never forget that with an innovative mindset, the impossible is nothing. Merry Xmas and Happy New Year. Bye for now.
I'm at a loss, really swallowing what I seem to have read.
This week, we begin our countdown for the most viewed video on our YouTube with a clip in which a Rivers senator questions the settlement between Fubara and Wike.
The elders will look at the whole issues again, and in their wisdom, they may come up with a position.
In fourth place is a video of the dismissal of 2 constables who were caught on camera demanding a bribe. Coming in third place is the video in which residents and groups rally against Tinubu's handling of the Wike Fubara rift.
All I pray is that this state is owned by all of us.
Taking the second spot in the countdown this week is a clip in which Wike warns Governor Fubara against pulling down the ladder he used to get to the top.
The channel sound music. Don't put the ladder that you use in climbing. And when you put the ladder, when you want to come down, the ladder may not be there. And leave the ladder too, so other people can also climb the same ladder.
Emeka Ike has been where all the other artists that were my genre are.
At the top of the countdown is veteran Nollywood actor Emeka Ike's video, in which he revealed how marital issues left him depressed for a long time.
The government came in, the policy is everything.